Do you ever struggle with guilt, particularly relating to the fact that your life is better than many other people's, or that there's something going right in your life, and you know for well that other people are actually going through a patch of bad luck or in a perpetual state of challenge? For me, this is something that I do experience, particularly living in Melbourne, which is such a wonderful city in Australia and within the world. And meanwhile, I've got siblings, nieces, nephews that live in other parts of the world that are really quite different. So much so that even as I'm recording this, I have siblings in Israel who are spending nights in bomb shelters and just living such an anxious life. And then for me, I walk down the street and I pick up the kids from school, and my biggest challenge is that I'm stuck in traffic. And of course, there are other life challenges, but not challenges on the level of will I be alive tomorrow or will my house be in existence tomorrow. And so when things go well in my life, I can't help but sometimes feel a bit guilty for it. Want to hide it from people, don't want to talk about it. And it's not just me in relation to my family. I'm sure you've experienced it, or you know people experience who you may know a person who has lost a loved one prematurely, and it's just a bit hard for you to talk about the joy of your family because you're worried about how that will impact them. And there's also that guilt, just why am I experiencing something good? People talk about survivor guilt after terrible things have happened, and some people have not come through and others have. So I don't want to talk too much about guilt because that in itself is its own subject. I want to talk about gratefulness, because actually gratefulness plays such a critical role in not only alleviating guilt, but avoiding the whole conversation of guilt. But that's not a reason to practice gratefulness. That's just if nothing else, there's a reason. Gratefulness in of itself is actually a very, very special practice, and one that has not only positive implications, but is the first of a two-step dance to living life. Let me explain. Gratefulness is to appreciate something that is good, or many things that are good in your life. And in order to do that, one has to pause, one has to stop and recognize, albeit for a moment, an hour, a day, 2 weeks, no specific period of time, but it's the act of pausing and recognizing what is good in life, in your life. And I don't just mean the gratefulness that there's food on your plate and the air to breathe. That, of course. But I'm going a step further, which is when there's something that is very deliberate and very tangible, something that you clearly recognize as being great or good in your life, beyond the things that are actually very good, like the air that we breathe and the food that we eat and the water that we drink and the sanitation system that ensures that life is a very, very easy thing to live on one level. I'm talking about when money comes your way, or someone invites you out for a dinner, or you have a child, or you get engaged, or anything good. You fill in the sentence. What are some good things that have happened in your life recently? So to be able to pause and really just appreciate that. Now, there's the pause, the appreciation, and there is the gratitude, and there is the sense of gratitude within. That's one step of the dance. And the next step is actually to perform with gratitude, which is to give thanks, which is to not only acknowledge that someone else or the world around us has been good to us, but to acknowledge in a way that the one who has given us would like to receive their thanks. So I'll give you a very simple example, and then I'm going to move to something a little more complex. Take, for example, someone buys you a pair of shoes. So this is something I've experienced. Recently, my mum bought me a pair of shoes. She noticed that the shoes I was wearing had a hole in it, and she took it upon herself to buy me shoes. And that's the beauty in the Jewish culture and many cultures, which is no matter how old you get, as long as your mother is still alive, you will be on the receiving end of their generosity and kindness, irrespective of your age, your financial status, etc. So my mum bought me a pair of shoes, Now, of course, I said thank you. And of course, I gave her a hug. And of course, I gave a lot of appreciation. But her experience of my gratitude, of my thanks, was actually at the point when she saw me wearing the shoes. Because that's what she intended them for. It wasn't just a mother giving a gift. This was a person who had given me a pair of shoes and was so excited when I finally put them on. So her intention was for me to wear the shoes. And the way I give thanks is, of course, to acknowledge, to verbally, to physically give thanks and hug, but ultimately putting on the shoes and wearing them. So when people have been kind to us, or when the world around us has been kind to us, of course there has to be the acknowledgement to self and the acknowledgement to others. But ultimately, the greatest acknowledgement to others is to actually utilize the space, the object, the situation that has been granted. So feel the humility that has been given, but then act on it. So I want to take this to the next step, one more step, which is, it's very simple when someone gives you something and you act on it. And of course, there's always the challenge. What if they give you something you don't need or something you don't like? Not for now. But what happens when it's a life situation? So I live in Melbourne, which is an amazing city. And I live with safety and so much generosity from the government. How do I express my thanks to nature, government, entities that are so far larger than I, that either it seems to not be conscious of my existence or particularly caring for me as an individual? So am I just left with sitting and practicing a meditation of gratitude and feeling it, and then just going along and sending a letter of thanks, or turning my eyes to the proverbial heavens, or people talk about putting it out to the universe? Like, what is it? Just give thanks. Thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you, government. Thank you, I don't know, CEO of this massive company. How do you do it? So I tend to look at things a little differently, and some of the works behind me may be informing that point of difference. And the way I see it is as follows, based on the teachings of particularly the Baal Shem Tov's Hasidism and Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism. I look at it from the perspective that the infinite created within the infinite space, within the infinite time, created time and space, allowed for there to be rate of change, distinction, difference. Every moment is different to the next. There's a sequence from here to there. There's space. There is over there and there's over here. And there's far away and there's nearby. And within there is individuality. Everything in the world, everything in the universe has individuality. An individual planet, individual plane of space, an individual moment, individual person, individual blade of grass. Everything's an individual. And we're all where we are, not just by chance, but rather as the infinite has created space and time, so the infinite consciously wills and condenses its energy and manifests its energy so that time and space exist. And so you and I are actually condensed, stripped back, minute but significant aspects of the infinite energy. And the situation in which we find ourselves is also. So me being in Melbourne is not just I live in Melbourne. I am a manifestation of the infinite in a space that is the manifestation of the infinite. And I'm consciously living life. I'm a human being. I'm living my life, and I feel things, and I experience things. Just as you do where you are, and just as other people elsewhere. And so it's not about why is it that I got this and someone else doesn't have. It's appreciating where I am, appreciating what I have, appreciating what has been given and done to me. And then the thanks is as follows. When we give thanks to another person, let's say my mother gives me the shoes, I'm not just giving thanks to my mother. When I put the shoes on, I'm not just giving my mother nachas. I'm giving thanks to the infinite. I'm honoring the soul within my mother. And when my mother experiences the joy of seeing me wear the shoes, it's the infinite experiencing joy. When I have the humility to give thanks, then I have the humility to give thanks to something greater. That greatness, of course, is the infinite, but it is also the infinite as it radiates and exists through my mother's version of existence. So when we talk about something bigger like a life situation, a country, nature, there's no individual to give thanks to, but there is still the process of giving thanks. So acknowledging to the infinite, giving thanks. But just as my mum gets nachas from when I wear the shoes, she experiences that joy when I wear the shoes, so the infinite experiences joy when I proverbially put on the shoes. So how do I put on the shoes? How do I wear the shoes so that the infinite goes, wow, wearing the shoes? So what we do is we live life. We seize the moment that we're living in. We seize the opportunity that has been presented, and we do what the infinite wills us to do in that moment. The 613 mitzvot in the Torah, those 613 methods of loving connection, to be able to spiritually reveal, to be able to reveal the spiritual inherent godliness that exists within something else, is how we do it. For whatever reason, Hashem has placed me, has manifested me in this situation. And the question is, what am I going to do? And when I give charity, and when I reach out to others, and when I'm productive, in keeping with what productivity means in light of the spiritual doctrines of the infinite as encoded in the Torah, then I'm giving thanks. I'm wearing the shoes as they were intended. So it's about identifying, what is it that I have that is good? What is it that's making my life so good? And in what way am I utilizing it within the intention from which it was given to me? So the first part is to experience and practice gratitude. And the second part is to act on the kindness. That's how we finish the expression of gratitude. So what I'd like to do with you is a short meditation. And it's two parts, just like the explanation I've just given. One is to experience gratitude. And then the second part is to be able to then resolve to perform the act of thanks in the context of which we're giving our gratitude. So you might need to press pause for a moment as you go and find a comfortable spot to just sit. There's no right or wrong way to meditate with me. Just find a comfortable spot that you can sit for a moment. And if you're walking, you might just want to slow right down because I want you to really be able to pause. And if you're walking and you're deep in thought, you might bump into something. If you're sitting and it's a bit noisy, it's going to be distracting. So just press pause, find a place to sit, and I'm going to be with you in a moment. Now that you're in a comfortable position, I want you to take a nice deep breath in, and as you exhale, just allow your eyelids to fall and close your eyes. Irrespective of how advanced you may or may not be with meditation, I want you to know that this is a very simple exercise. It requires no prior meditative experience. Just take 4 or 5 deeper breaths. The first one might be a bit difficult because you haven't fully exhaled, but as you breathe in, I just want you to fill your lungs completely. And then, once you feel your lungs are full, just slowly release until you feel that they're empty. And just repeat this a few more times. This will help you relax into this moment. It'll help you just be settled as we experience a moment of deeper thinking. If there are any thoughts that are bubbling up, that's fine. We're not going to be too concerned about that. They're welcome. Because right now you're just breathing. And thoughts can exist when you breathe. With a breath in a few breaths' time, when I finish this next instruction, I want you to, as you breathe in, tighten all the muscles in your hand. And what that requires is clenching your fists and then allow that tension to spread through the body. You might want to raise your shoulders and ball your toes, and if you can flex your calf or hamstring muscles, clench your teeth, squint your eyes, furl your forehead, take a deep breath in as if you're running in the rain. Deep breath in, holding that tension all the way in, and release. Releasing your breath slowly, releasing the tension in the body, and allowing yourself to just sink a little deeper into your seat. It's always difficult to be asked to recall something when there's no trigger. Perhaps you're doing this meditation because something positive has happened in your life, and perhaps it's something you've stumbled across. So what I want you to do is identify something positive that is taking place in your life or has recently taken place that has bettered your life. There's no big or small. This is your subjective perspective of something good. And perhaps I can help you by prompting you to consider something that not only is it good, but you've almost been a bit ashamed or felt guilty that this good has happened to you, or fearful of sharing it with others because you don't know how they would interpret it, or it's so good but it has made you think about the lack in other people's lives. And perhaps this isn't something that has recently happened. Perhaps this is something that exists within your life, but you only recently gained a realization of how good it is. You may have seen someone who was disadvantaged and you compared yourself to them. So I'll just leave you for a moment as you become familiar with just one positive thing. And once you've got it, just sit on it. Hold it in your mind. We're not thinking about how it makes you feel vis-a-vis others, just holding in your mind the goodness. Perhaps there are positive feelings that you associate with it. Where in your body can you sense the joy, positivity, delight, or any other emotional sensation that may have a label? Don't worry about what the label is, but identify where you feel that experience. Is it a warmth? Is it a point, or is it a general feeling? How wonderful. How wonderful is it that this experience or this aspect of life is a part of your life. Just enjoy it right now as you think about it. I want you to enjoy it and begin to appreciate. Appreciate that it has come to you. Appreciate that this is a part of your life. And what I mean when I say appreciate is not give appreciation, but rather experience the humility of appreciation. That this is something that has come to you. This is something that is in your life. It wasn't, and now it is. Someone or a situation has granted this. And you were on the receiving end, whether actively or passively receiving. But it came to you. How wonderful that is. How lucky you are. How much joy it brings. And how much appreciation you have. Where do you feel appreciation within yourself right now? And just sit with that sensation for a moment, that appreciation, that humility. It's not a humility of being small. It's the humility of accepting. The humility of appreciation. How wonderful. So special. Stay with the sensation of the warmth and the joy and that ability to accept that which has come to you. Now what we're going to move to in this state of our meditation is consider the good that we can do, that we can perform as a result of this reality in our life, this positive reality. What does this goodness and kindness enable you to do? It need not be big. It need not be small. This is not about the size, it's about the response. In what way will you express your thanks? Beyond words. Unless words are the very thing that you are now enabled to use. So we're going beyond just the thank you, beyond the hug, beyond the expression of appreciation from you, and moving towards the intention of this gift, whether it be from another individual, whether it be a life experience, a natural occurrence. This has created a situation in which you are able to do good, in which you can now express your kindness Don't wrestle. It need not be complicated because we're not measuring. It's just a matter of response. Either yeah or no. And you're going to respond. We're not thinking about when. We're not even focused too much on the how. Just that general thinking about the how, not planning the detail. Resolving to act on the kindness. Practicing gratitude through your future behavior. And of course, you'll be able to revisit this. But I'm sure you've made a step in the right direction in your mind. And so I'd like to begin to conclude this meditation by taking you one last step. Feel blessed. Return to the joy of the experience of this blessing that you had moments ago in the first part of this meditation. Come back to that joy, that warmth, and build on it. Not only does it feel good to have what you have, but how wonderful and blessed is the awareness that you have that you can do something, that you have the opportunity to give thanks, the opportunity to express gratitude, the opportunity to seize the moment to do good, because that's why it has come to you. There's no need to feel guilt or sadness. You are a humble individual who has been granted something, a moment that is so positive so that you can be empowered to do something positive. Enjoy this experience. It's your destiny, and that's why it has come your way. And by acting on it, and by appreciating, you not only honor that which exists in your reality, but you honor the entirety of reality. Which will have positive ripple effects on the whole world. Just come back to your breathing now. Hold on to that warm sensation that we've been experiencing within. In a moment, you'll take a deep breath, and after that, you can open your eyes. And just whisper, "Thank you." Smile and humbly prepare to do good.